Hi, everyone. Welcome to the session, Stop Guessing and Start Doing, How to Make Person-Based Advertising Your Marketing Superpower. I'm Nirosha Methananda. I'm the VP of Marketing at Influ2. And just to clarify, marketing is not smarter marketing, it is sales and marketing. So let's dive in. So just a bit of a state of the union. Where are we at? Stuck in the middle with an economic downturn looming. So, from a sales and marketing perspective, with business expectations of always, do more. But at the same time, a lot of businesses are taking precautionary measures around the economic downturn. And what they're doing is really looking at tightening up their budgets. They're either reducing their workforce. We've had across B2B a wave of layoffs. And the other thing is that there are in place quite a few hiring freezes or cautionary hiring. So, that puts pressure on existing sales and marketing teams to be able to meet, set targets with, essentially less money, less resource. So, conversely to this, you still have, while a business has those expectations, the customers still have their expectations, and they're going through something similar from a business perspective. So similarly, they don't have budget, and also they're usually very time poor. It's probably exacerbated now by just pressure from the business to be able to perform and so on and so forth. And the other thing is, I think there's always been an expectation with B2B that you need to have, it's every solution that you or product that you look at is some sort of silver bullet. But I think especially now, that concept of having, a unicorn of a solution to invest in is really relevant, or that's what the expectation is anyway. So, for me, I'm like, okay, well, we're more advanced than ever in terms of what we have available as sales and marketers. So what's the problem? And I wanted to deep dive here a little bit. So, it's what I'm calling same. So I looked at this report. It's the B2B State of Sales for 2022 done by LinkedIn. I've put the link in reference at the bottom, so please feel free to click on that and go and check it out. It's full of great stats and facts. But the one that caught my eye was, 91% of sellers use sales tech once a week. I know it's probably not too groundbreaking because with COVID, obviously we all went most of us went to remote work. And then so from a sales perspective and a marketing perspective, being able to reach out to your prospects became more challenging, and we use more digital channels. So, the sales tech is really enjoying a renaissance at the moment. Certainly from the effects of COVID and the after effects. But what that means is, from the orchestration platforms, from the contacts that you get, data and the context you get, to the intent that you get, everyone has that. So, everyone has the same tools. Everyone also has the same approach. And it's starting to become a little bit same because, a lot of people are getting bombarded. And I'll go through a case study later that talks about this. But the question is, okay, well, how do you stand out? How do you stand out and cut through back to your prospects? The second point is different. So, we talked about sales and marketing alignment for so long. And now the rubber is really starting to hit the road in terms of sales and marketing really needing to come together. And for me, what that means is diving in deeper. Yes, you can work collaboratively, but ultimately what everyone in a business is working towards is a goal. You might have an overarching goal, but then when you have individual goals as a department, it drives different motivation, and it drives also different activities. And what that means is that you're not necessarily coordinated in your efforts. And then, there's always sort of a tension between sales and marketing in terms of, well, you didn't do this, or you didn't do this, or whatever it is. So that drives me to ask the question, well, how do you really align? And this is important because what it ends up happening is it leads to a splintered experience for your customer and your prospects. So, in B2B, there's often more than one person, depending on the size of the organization, obviously the industry, there's more than one person making a decision. That is more relevant now than it was ever before. When businesses are watching their budgets and what the spend is, there are a lot more people involved and need to know about decisions. So if you have a splintered experience and there is there are different activities happening between sales and marketing, and you're not necessarily working towards that holistic experience across all of those different buyers. What happens is it, leaves them confused, and it lengthens the sales cycles. It also leaves room for your competitors. So the question there is, well, how do you focus? So following on from this, coming into a downturn, sales really can't wait for marketing to warm up accounts. So if you look, what I've got on the left is a typical funnel approach, which the funnel being, a length of time. So the activity, at the top of funnel is typically your demand and ABM activities that you're pushing out to be able to warm up the accounts or the prospects, to be able to, lead score them, and then hand them to your sales team for outreach. So, going from MQL, MQA, SAL, SQL, and all of the other acronyms. The reason that I say that sales cannot wait for marketing to warm up the accounts, this is some research that was done by Nielsen a couple of years ago now. So it's probably actually accelerated since this was done. But, this is related to advertising and brand memorability with regard to advertising. So, what this chart is telling us is from the time an ad is first viewed, within 24 hours of viewing that ad, the brand memorability drops by 50%. And, then if you look for day 5, it drops another 25%. So, if marketing is doing all of this, these advertising campaigns and creating all this awareness, and then there's no follow-up, specifically from an advertising perspective. And obviously you do also have the ability to, send emails and so on and so forth, and retargeting. But, if depending on what your campaign is, if it's really quite pointed, having that outreach, and having that timing is everything to be able to drive that. So, one of the answers to be able to help this in your account-based engagement is person-based advertising. And rather than me tell you what person-based advertising is or how it can help, I've enlisted my teammate, Vlad, to be able to tell you.
Have you ever imagined that your sales team would have a superpower that allows them to control who sees your company's ads and who exactly interacts with them? Imagine all the possibilities this would open.
And that is right. All of the possibilities that would open. And it is kind of a superpower because it's something that's unique. But essentially, it's what Vlad said. Person-based advertising allows you to deliver relevant ads to decision makers at your target accounts. And the way that you do this is essentially you create an audience based on your ICP or your target accounts to use within your campaign. You obviously create custom content and landing pages for them to be able to accompany them so that what they see is relevant to them and has some impact. Fly those campaigns through the best channels to be able to reach your selected audience. So, and this is a network of various display and social media networks. And then what happens is you can track, the engagement of that they have with your advertising at a very granular level. So, you can look at it at an aggregated account level. You can look at it, who you've engaged at that account specifically. And then you can also look at specific individuals and see how they've engaged and what they've done. And so essentially what this does is it allows you to align, it allows you to stand out, and it allows you to focus. So, what does this mean from a marketing perspective? Why is this a superpower? As I talked about, sales and marketing alignment is a big focus and has been a big focus for account-based engagement. And what this allows you to do is really, in addition to what you're doing at the moment, is take your advertising and use it throughout the funnel to be able to help support from top of funnel through middle of funnel through bottom of funnel, and be able to engage, and reach across the buying group, which is one of the points there as well. And when you reach out to them, you can really personalize the campaigns to what is relevant to them in terms of, okay, well, are they in finance? Are they in legal? Are they in marketing? What are they in HR? What do they need to hear? Or are they an executive? What do they need to hear to be able to help pull your solution together and create the business case from it? And what helps this is the person level engagements, being able to provide, which essentially provides you a sense of intent and context for the outreach to be able to make that relevant. So being able to have tangible insights from your advertising around who is engaging and being able to give that to the sales team to follow up and work in concert, that's something that is very unique and starts to bring to life that engagement. And then from a budget level, and I'm sorry, I'm skipping around a bit, but essentially, your display and social media advertising is something that hasn't particularly had this level of granularity. And what it does is it starts to take that budget and really make it work for you in terms of being able to start tracking what the engagement was, what the influence was over specific accounts and over specific stakeholders, and be able to help through as I said, to the bottom of funnel and through close of deal. And one of the other things I want to mention, I'm only mentioning this because we are in the economic time that we are, it also becomes a predictable media spend for your display and social media. And this is specific to Influ2, just given our model. Our subscription model also includes the media spend. And for those looking, to be able to lock down their budgets and really focus on what they need to do for the rest of the year and have some consistency, I think that's a big plus. So, I've been talking about heading into this downturn, and while person-based advertising has a number of different use cases, these are the three that we've identified that will be most effective, heading into the downturn, essentially like the low-hanging fruit. So the first one is supporting passive prospecting. And what that means is, you have a lot of leads that come into your funnel and you're trying to convert them to get a meeting, you're trying to move them through the middle of funnel and engage the group to be able to go through and close. And that's essentially what you're able to do with person-based advertising. You can engage those pipeline prospects that are already in the pipeline. You can help the sales team and support them with air cover. We use, Influ2 uses it to be able to help with our SDR air cover and humanize them. And so what essentially that does is it helps accelerate conversations and opportunities, which is super important right now in being able to reach and have efficiency around who you're reaching and have cut through, especially with reduced headcount and resources in a lot of cases. The second example is to mine your existing audience. So, there was a big focus on retention and, there's always this balance between, well, how much does it cost to onboard a new customer, a new prospect to a customer versus maintain your existing customers in that revenue stream. So being able to, mine those existing audiences and engage them really presents great opportunities to keep them engaged, educate them, potentially upsell them and look for expansion, especially in those large organizations where you might be working with one department and, you might have your eyes on another. It's a great way to be able to tell that story and engage across that full account. And the third one, which we're calling not here, not now, but not never. So, because person-based advertising is at a person-based level, it doesn't matter actually where that individual is at. And right now in the B2B ecosystem, there's been a lot of movement and change. And I assume that it will continue to be so. But what it means is if you have a prospect who, is in that field that is is a person of interest to you in terms of your product, being able to have your brand in front of them, educate them around what you do, and leave an impression for them where your solution might not be right for them right now, but it might be for the next role. So being able to have that option is an opportunity is always great. So, what I really wanted to go through was just really quickly a couple of case studies. So, Via is an end-to-end marketing resource management solution, particularly for finance, and they were really challenged through COVID. And particularly in terms of, obviously the events went away. They used direct mail a lot. They also relied on form fills quite a bit. And, as I mentioned before, there is a lot of bombarding of emails through COVID and continuing. So, it really reduced their form fills. They also had limitations in terms of their existing advertising programs and channels where they weren't necessarily getting the reach or the cut through that they wanted. And, you know, their VP of Marketing and Sales, Martha Franz, was looking for a solution to be able to help target exactly who they wanted to and see their activity to be able to inform the sales team and get some efficiency. And that's what the person-based advertising did for her. Give Via and their team some inkling of buyer intent to the point where they've actually built their marketing and sales process around that engagement that happens through the person-based advertising campaigns. So going left to right, you know, Via creates content based on needs and pain points to be able to gauge what the buyer intent is, and they look for interest. So they have, you know, they use a Influ2 clicker system. So, you know, once someone clicks on that, they look at what that activity is, and then they follow up through with with an outreach sequence, which, you know, you can sort of see here. And then what happens is that prospect becomes a multi-clicker, and from there they kick off, you know, back into their direct mail with a LinkedIn, you know, with a LinkedIn connection, and then that goes off into the meeting and demo process. And so what, you know, this has meant for Via is that, you know, their sales team has some great insight around what intent people have, and they're able to really customize their outreach to them from that perspective. And, you know, over the year that Via was using Influ2, you know, 25% of their targeted individuals clicked their ads. So that's a pretty great result. The other example I want to talk about is Hexaware. So Hexaware is a software solutions company that's transforming IT services and primarily for enterprise solutions. So Hexaware really wanted to get scientific, you know, and it's, as I said, it states here, they wanted specificity in their targeting. They wanted more visibility of their high conversion prospects and velocity across their sales cycle. They really wanted to optimize that. And so they used the consumption insights from the campaign analytics and lead scoring to really zero in, you know, as Rishi Kalepi says, on that perfect moment to reach out to their targets. And what they did was they created a lot of very pointed content that was essentially for the buying groups at their account. And what they would do is they would look at where they were in the funnel and then push this content to them. So you can see, you know, again, going from left to right, you know, they have content for a decision maker, an influencer, and for bottom of funnel. And by taking this very strategic and highly scientific approach, you know, it's meant that like their overall visibility has improved, you know, in terms of their brand and their ads, but the conversion cycle has also improved from a velocity and volume perspective. And this led, you know, to Hexaware for, you know, a 3 to 4 times increase in their sales ready prospect lead scores. So what marketing was pushing to sales. It also, you know, was a 900% increase in their potential reach to their relevant prospects. So for them, you know, that especially dealing with large enterprises, that's a significant result. So just wrapping up, from an account-based engagement perspective, person-based advertising means that marketing and sales can work together meaningfully from top to the bottom of the funnel. And that's something that I think, you know, is going to really make a difference, especially in the environment we're in. The other thing is it gives you the ability to take that multi-threaded approach across accounts, you know, with those buying groups, and being able to, you know, do that through the prospect phase, but then also be able to do that through with your existing accounts and expand. I think that's a great advantage. And then you can take a true account-based approach through a channel that's typically, you know, advertising is a necessary spend, but it's not necessarily always ROI rich as you would like it to be. So, you know, really, that's what person-based advertising does. It makes your advertising a lot more tangible and that spend a lot more meaningful. So that's all I've got for you today. I thank you so much for your time. If you have any questions or you'd like any further information, please feel free to contact me. My contact details are there. Otherwise, I wish you all the very best. Thank you.